The year is winding down, and this generation of hardware is winding down, but there are still plenty of video games getting released, and I still played a whole truckload of video games in 2019. What's good, Internet? My name is attackslug. This is part 1 of my 2019 Game of the Year video series. This video is digital-only games. Coming in at number 10 is Corpse Party 2 Dead Patient Chapter 1. And that is why it comes in at number 10, because it's just the first episode. It's not a full-fledged Corpse Party experience, and man, do I need more of that. One of my all-time favorite horror franchises, even with its ups and downs over the years. This is a great chapter, but it ends on a cliffhanger, and I just want more. It has that classic Corpse Party tone and atmosphere and vibe. It's a great experience, and if you haven't played the original, certainly go play the original. Team Grizz is great at making a lot from using a little, and there is definitely their fingerprints, their bloody fingerprints, all over Corpse Party 2 Dead Patient. But man, that cliffhanger. And this game came out in Japan a couple of years ago, so I have to hope that a sequel chapter is in the works somewhere, somehow, someway, because I need more Corpse Party. Coming in at number 9, or depending on your perception, could be number 6, is Superliminal, an amazing first-person puzzle game that I played through this year. It's out on the Epic Game Store. It's launching on consoles and Steam next year, and I don't want to repeat too much of what I said in my review. Go watch that review. But Superliminal was really cool, and I liked how they took that one core concept of perception and then built on it and built on it and built on it with different varying concepts of how you approach a first-person puzzle game. Now, in terms of the story, it's just kind of what has been done before in games like Portal, in games like the Stanley Parable. Like, that stuff is kind of well-worn territory, but the puzzles themselves, the amount of aha moments in and of themselves make Superliminal definitely worth playing. Number 8 is Noita. And if you've watched my channel before, or watched my Game of the Year videos before, you know that I'm always searching for that next major roguelike or roguelite game. I'm always chasing that high that I got from playing the original Spelunky all those years ago. Actually, at this point, almost 10 years ago, with that original Spelunky. And I love that game, and Noita does scratch a lot of that itch, right? And with the fact we have that Spelunky 2 is delayed until 2020, I needed another game to definitely fill that void in my life. A game where I can set everything on fire, either intentionally or by accident, is definitely a game I want to play more of. Every pixel in this game is simulated, which means that materials behave in the way you think they would in real life, and that makes for some amazing moments as you play Noita, as I recommend you totally should. Now, it is early access, so there are still some kinks to be worked out, but the base game they have built here is a hell of a lot of fun to play, and you should definitely give it a look. Number 7 is a honking good time. It's Untitled Goose Game. The kind of game I really don't need to explain to you what it is or what it does, because everybody knows on this planet what geese are and what geese do, and letting me be a horrible goose in a video game wreaking havoc on this quaint English village is some of the most fun I've had all year. Structurally, it can be very similar to Hitman 2016 and Hitman 2, also games you should definitely play because they're amazing, but taking away the guns and the death and the murder and just being a goose who's an asshole is awesome. And if you don't have a Switch or a PC, you're in luck, because this week it came to PS4 and Xbox Game Pass. So go forth, my fine feathered friends, and be an adorable yet horrible goose. Number 6 is Blazing Chrome, which asks you the simple question, did you enjoy playing Contra Hardcore on the Genesis? If so, they made another game in that very similar vein, and certainly Konami cannot be trusted to make a good Contra or any good video games, really. Developers of Oniken, which was essentially an 8-bit Contra game, have made Blazing Chrome, which is essentially a 16-bit Contra game. It is a run and gun, mayhem, bullets, robots, explosions, different modes for different skill levels. They made a game that aesthetically looks like it would belong in that era and gave it some modern contrivances. It's fun to play, it's hard as hell, and if you have any love for the genre, you need to check it out. Number 5 is Cadence of Hyrule, Crypt of the Necrodancer, featuring The Legend of Zelda. That is the full title of this game. And how crazy is 2019 when you have a Western indie developer making a Legend of Zelda game that is a spin-off of a roguelike that came out a couple of years ago, rhythm game, and it's awesome. I'd say there's not as much replayability as Necrodancer, but what they have built here is a great rhythm roguelike, and I had so much fun playing it. The soundtrack is A+. If you have any love for these Zelda themes, there's a bunch of them in here, a bunch of remixes, and they're all stellar. So while it might not be a game that I go back to over and over like Necrodancer, what they have built from start to finish is incredibly solid, and if you love Zelda, you love Necrodancer, and you love great soundtracks, Cadence of Hyrule. Sliding into number 4 is FutureGrind, one of the best games I played this year that no one seems to have heard of. If you liked Trials, when it's good, if you liked games like Ollie Ollie 1 and 2, if you enjoy a skill-based platforming side-scrolling game with a silky smooth frame rate, response time, and that feeling of one more run, one more stage, let me just get my high score that much better, then FutureGrind is a game you already should have played by now. The soundtrack is banging, the gameplay is solid, and it's just, to me, the purest form of video game. You can't go wrong with that. If you were disappointed this year by the performance of Trials Rising, then you owe it to yourself to go check out FutureGrind. Number 3 is a little bit dandy. It's Dandy Dungeon from Onion Games, one of my favorite developers, and they had the unenviable task of taking a free-to-play mobile game and turning it into a console digital download, and they nailed it. Thankfully, underneath all those free-to-play trappings, they had a solid, melancholy puzzle RPG. It has a weird yet relatable story about leaving your job and following your dreams. It has addictive puzzle gameplay, just one more dungeon, and it's easily one of the best Switch games I've played this year, and now out on PC. If you are not familiar with this developer, go check out Million Onion Hotel on mobile, and go check out Blackbird on Switch and PC. They make very unusual games, and you guys know I love unusual games. And speaking of unusual, coming in at number 2 is Hypnospace Outlaw. And this is a hard game for me to recommend unless you were on the internet building websites in the late 90s and early 2000s. If you had a GeoCities account, or Angel Fire, or any of those various free website building accounts, and you fondly have nostalgia for that era, then this game is for you. You play the role of an internet moderator, surfing through websites and putting down the ban hammer on anyone who is violating the terms of service on this make-believe internet that works while you sleep. If the very notion of having blinking text and under construction GIFs and MIDI files playing in the background makes you laugh and makes you fondly recall that era of the internet, then definitely play this game. If none of that sounds familiar to you at all, then perhaps this is not for you. But I was there. I was on the front lines of the burgeoning internet at the time, and this game brought back some amazing and cringy memories from that era of my life. So if you're old like me, then this game might be for you. And speaking of you, number 1 is Baba Is You. Easily the best puzzle game I've played all year, perhaps in the past 5 years. This is a game that made me question the limits of my own brain. As someone who does not do any coding in the later and higher levels in this game, I have to imagine that's what it's like learning to code. Being able to break the laws of the game with the words in the game is just such a cool concept to me. And when you get stuck on a singular puzzle for like a half an hour or an hour, and you finally give up and go, you know what, this one is perhaps beyond me, I'm gonna go on the internet, onto YouTube, and look it up, and then you see the solution, and you go, oh, how in the hell did I not think of that? That's the kind of game this is. The game gives you every tool you need to understand every increasingly difficult puzzle it presents you, but it's up to you to think way outside the box, or the tree, or the key, or the lava. These solutions are so deceptively simple sometimes for a game that is so complex. And while I have my doubts that I will ever be smart enough to actually finish this game entirely, it is well worth the time, it is well worth the money, and coming next year, they're adding the option to make your own stages and then put them on the internet and download even more stages. If you have any love for the puzzle game genre, I can give you no higher recommendation than to go get a copy of Baba Is You. And it's on the Switch! It's portable! Just do it! Baba Is You is the best digital-only game I've played this year, and it's not even close. And those are my digital games for 2019. Tune in tomorrow for my physical media games in a box list on this channel. I'm attackslug. Thanks for watching. More videos. I'll see you next time. And I'm out.